I appreciate the flexibility. I know we're all working through this process the best way that we can, and appreciate everyone being a part of the press conference here this afternoon. As a program, we're extremely excited about the opportunity that's in front of us. I'd like to start off by thanking our administration, our athletic training group, strength and conditioning, our players, families, everybody involved in helping us get to this point. I know it is a time unlike any other that we've had to work through together to be able to keep our guys safe, to be able to establish and follow protocols with their safety and providing the best opportunity possible for them to be able to train and work out, continue to grow in all aspects. To our coaching staff, to everyone, just very appreciative to the time that's gone into it, and we're all excited as we report for camp today, and as we get to get on the field here tomorrow, as we start our journey here together in the 2020 Florida State football team. And I'm excited about the things that I've seen over the last few weeks. As we've gone into mandatory workouts, we've been able to, with some of the availability of walkthroughs and meetings to try to teach to utilize that time almost as a spring practice. Build up for making up for the time that was lost there in March and April. Our guys have done a nice job studying on their own throughout a lot of the spring, and utilizing those virtual meetings that we're able to have in building their knowledge. And it's going to be critically important for us to get the on-the-field application, continuing to develop the fundamentals, the understanding of what we're asking them to do, and more than anything else, and this is something that I talk to our team every day about, just being the best version of themselves. And that's going to be our sole focus. Is we want to be a football team that constantly improves, that's constantly growing. I believe in these young men that I'm getting to coach. I definitely believe in the coaching staff that I have the opportunity to work with each and every day, and so we'll put no limits on what we can accomplish, but our sole focus is going to be to see our football team and this group go out there and improve daily, and trying to maximize the potential that we have. And so, for all of the media members, I hate that there's going to be a lot of things that have to change in how we operate, but I do appreciate your flexibility, and we're going to try to provide as many resources as we can to help you do the job that you have. But we're grateful for your coverage. We're grateful for the relationships, and definitely hope everybody's staying safe throughout this process that we're all having to work through.
Okay, first question will be Matt Baker.
I can't hear. Hold on, Matt, 1 second. Technical difficulties. At least we got to the first question. Go ahead, Matt.
You good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so two related questions. One, what are you kind of doing practically different, and either in terms of how you're structuring your workout, less good on good, that sort of thing? And then the second part is the face shield that we've seen the coaches wearing. Can you kind of settle on that, and are you used to that?
Well, the first question, you're talking about adjustments that we're making as we're coming into practice. We're gonna split the first 3 days. We're gonna go basically a split squad practice. This is something that I've done. I did it, the first couple of years at Memphis. It's really gonna have a big fundamental, approach to what we're trying to do. Making sure we're teaching that across the board. There won't be a whole lot of team or group work together, but making sure that we're able to get individualized teaching. Obviously that's the smaller groups. That's going to help us, as we kind of phase into to practice. I think will be a very positive thing. We're going to try to do that for the first 3 days. of practice. So we will kind of implement that. We'll still have our meetings all together with, with how we're, kind of spaced out throughout the facility. We're utilizing some virtual, but, we've gone through and we're utilizing every spot that we have, being able to meet with social distancing standards for our guys. I know that you talked about the face shields. That's something that we've tried to implement, especially in some of the morning workouts that we've had from our coaching staff, just so that it allows our guys to at least see the expressions or hear the words and the communication as best as possible. When we're inside, we're using our face, our cloths and mask, but even with the face shields, we're still maintaining the social distancing aspect. Just trying to do things the best way that we possibly can. But I think it's gone well up until this point, and we're going to continue to adjust to things as they come more readily available, and as we get to live through the experiences.
Next would be Corey Clark.
Hey, Mike, I was wondering two things. Number one, have you heard from any players that have thought about opting out or have talked to you about opting out or just discussed it? And also, they're college kids. You're going to protect them the best you can. Do you have discussions with them about what to do when they're not with you guys on a college campus?
Absolutely, and we've been very open with our players. We've had multiple parent meetings as well, via Zoom throughout this process, trying to communicate, just where things are, different expectations, protocols that are in place. It takes everyone, and our players, they fully understood, our players and staff. As we got back into mandatory workouts, they were all presented, the option that if they did not feel comfortable, if they did not, if they had fear of being in a situation where they were, having to come to in-person workouts or to be in meetings, things like that, that they had the opportunity to do that, throughout this summer before we started any mandatory workouts. And, our guys have done a great job of, I guess adjusting to what those expectations are, and I've been really pleased to see where we are coming into camp, the way they've been able to I guess function with their lifestyle away from the facility. We knew that ever since we started the voluntary workouts, the facility protocols that are in place, that's gone extremely well, making sure that when they're away from the facility that they're aware of the places they're going, who they're around, what they're doing, and I think that's gotten better as we've gone through this summer, and we understand the challenges that are gonna take place as people continue to come back into town with students, but the university has a great plan in place. I mean, there's been a lot of work in all departments, across the board, from the citywide to university, obviously, our team expectations, and, that's one of the things we talk to our guys about daily, just, making sure that they're aware of the expectation and just continuing to make some of those sacrifices that are necessary so we get to do what we're all love to do.
Next is going to be Ira.
Hey, Coach, I know some coaches at different levels have talked about the possibility of maybe cross-training players at different positions as an option in case you have a rash of players who can't play any certain weeks. Is that something you guys are pursuing?
That's something that we try to cross-train in a lot of aspects, fitting to guys' skill sets and what they do on a normal year. And, we're very multiple in what we do offensively and defensively. There will probably be a couple of defensive players that will have a role on the offensive side. And if it serves us for the best purpose, we'll look at it. That'll be a yearly approach to what we want to do and showcasing the playmakers that we have. And so at this time, we're not. We're not certain what it's going to look like. We know that there'll be some experiences that'll probably show up along the ways that will force us to adapt and adjust. But we'll be prepared for it if that does occur.
Next will be Wayne.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
With practice comes increased contact between the players. How often are you guys testing the players, and what's the protocol if a player does test positive?
Well, we just coming into camp, we've tested, just recently tested our football team and staff, everybody involved, and as we go through camp, we have protocols in place of what we're going to do. Obviously, there's also been protocols that have been passed down for from the ACC and how we're going to operate and what we're going to do. I feel very confident and comfortable for what that looks like, and obviously, if there is a positive test, we have the same protocols that are set up for what we're going to do with those situations, and obviously dealing with the contact tracing and making sure that we're going through all the steps necessary that have been passed down from statewide to conference to community to our medical advisor and research team here within Florida State, and obviously what we're trying to do as a football team as well. So I feel very comfortable and confident in the process that we have in place, and we're just going to continue to live to that.
Next is Pat Burnham.
Hey, Coach, Pat Burnham with the Offseason. I got a couple of questions. You mentioned the fine line between being safe with your kids, but you spend 99% of your time with the players in the shorts. How do you keep them safe and still get them the amount of contact required to get them safe with the season? And does that limit the amount of your offensive and defensive systems you have to get them utilized?
I think that's something that we're definitely gonna look at, and I can tell you, we're adjusting from what would be a normal year. We will be adjusting a little bit in the amount of repetition that we'll get in team and group settings. We haven't had the training, the mandatory training and obviously structure that we would have normally had coming into the season. So I want to make sure that we're bringing our guys along, at the right pace, where we're continuing to build them and being smart in what we're doing there. When it comes to offensively, defensively, scheme, even our special teams, we've got to make sure that as coaches we're not overwhelming these guys with information. And we maximized all of our Zoom meetings. I think our guys did an extraordinary job with how their approach to it. The way that we taught. In all those with all those experiences, I think that. It has helped our guys get a better understanding of the language, but just like anything else, it's the physical application of and the repetition of being able to execute that at a high level. So, I would say to say that we're going to have the full assault of what we plan on doing offensively, defensively, and special teams. That's something that we're going to have to continue to build to, and I think that we will. We've just got to make sure that we're being smart and identifying what our guys are catching on to and being able to execute at a very high level, and then make sure that we're showcasing the best of their abilities in what we're asking them to do. And so as coaches, that's going to be one of the great challenges that we have as we go through this fall camp.
Next will be Matt Marshall from Orlando.
Yeah, Coach, I appreciate this. I want to ask, since you guys didn't have a spring camp, you're going in the fall, do you see this camp as more like spring, or do you feel like you guys have to keep moving forward and start it as an actual fall camp?
We have to have a great balance. For us, the things that you miss out with spring practice is just the on the field repetition. Getting a chance to build those fundamentals, to be able to get the looks of what you could possibly see when it comes to a scheme or a certain situation. That's one of the I guess the bigger challenges moving into this is we have yet to have a third down series situation, and making sure that all of our guys are understanding each of those situations, obviously all the adjustments, the things that come up, and if you go through a full spring, you have those experiences, and with only having those three practices, we've talked about it. We've got we understand the procedure, but we've got to go enact it, and so that's something that we're going to try to make sure that we do as much as we can, but also, in a sense, like I said earlier, just not not overwhelm them in the amount of information that we're throwing on them. But we have to prepare. September 12th, we're kicking off, and that's what we have to be prepared for. And all of our folks is building to that point so that we can put ourselves in the best possible situation to go out there and play to the best of our ability.
Next is going to be Kurt from the Democrat.
Hey, Coach, Kurt Weiler. We've seen players
Our guys have done a great job in their workouts. They've done a great job in their meetings. We have a very open line of communication, that we've continued to develop and build upon, throughout this summer. And, I'm excited about where our guys are. I'm excited about the work they put in, the relationships that have been developed. And so we're looking forward to continuing to move forward together as a team. And, as we work through, each day and, each experience that we have, I mean, that's something that's going to be a critical factor in continuing to develop those relationships here throughout the season.
Next is gonna be Brendan from 247.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Going into the last few months when players weren't on campus, I guess what was the biggest challenge that you guys had in terms of keeping players in shape? And now that we're reporting, generally speaking, like how do you feel about the shape and condition that the team is in as you guys get ready for fall camp here?
Yeah, there were so many challenges that came with that. When guys were away from here, I think Coach Storms and his staff did a remarkable job in providing the information. Some guys had access to weights that might have been around their house or in a very secure location, but then there was a lot of guys that had no access. They were scattered, kind of throughout the country. Everybody's situation was different, and I think Coach Storms and his staff did a wonderful job of being unique and having an individual plan for each of those guys. But it was, once again, it was all voluntary. We were not able to get any information or real feedback, from our guys, other than just trying to make sure that we were providing them all the resources that we could as a university to help them grow and develop. And I was really pleased once we got our guys back. You could tell that there was a lot of guys that put in time in working to prepare, doing the best that they possibly could. There's some real challenges where it was tougher for other guys that they've had to work themselves back into shape, and we're going to be smart with that process as well. And I can't think of a time where you've had 4 months of not really being able to be around your guys, in a mandatory situation, going from March till basically the middle, or I guess the second week of July. It's really unheard of when it comes to college football when you look at the overall schedule. So I mean, there's just going to be some things that we have to continue to work through. But our guys' mindset and approach has been really good, and we have a team that's hungry to go out and get better, and they're excited about the opportunity to start playing football.
Next one's gonna be Gene from Moortown.
Hey, Coach. I had a team question about the quarterbacks. You got 4 guys coming in, obviously going to be competing for that job. What is your process? You've been through this situation before in determining a starting quarterback, and then is there a time when you would like to be able to determine that starter? Because at some point you got to get toward game prep and Georgia Tech.
Well, it's going to be a consistent process. Every day we're going to continue to evaluate those guys in all aspects, meeting room, on the field, what they're doing, as continuing to be great teammates and to go out there and show the execution of what they're being asked to accomplish, and then also making sure that I think it's as critical as anything else that as a coaching staff we evaluate where their strengths are. I've had an opportunity to watch James and Jordan and Tate. I mean, those guys that were here in the spring. Three times I got to see them throw a football. That's where we are. I mean, that's the reality of it. And, obviously with Chuba coming in this summer, I still have not had a hit. We're waiting for tomorrow to be able to go out on the field and to see that take place. And so. It's going to be a little bit of a work in progress of evaluating exactly where those guys are, what they're doing well, and then we've got to formulate our plan around their strengths. And the great thing about I guess the experiences I've had throughout my coaching career is I've had quarterbacks with all unique and diverse talents. And this group is talented with with diverse skill sets, and I can tell you that they're excited about the opportunity. They're excited about the knowledge that they've gained throughout this off season. And now we just have to go out there on the field and work to put it into place. But to say a date, I don't have that really in my mindset of saying that I have to know by this time. I'm excited that we're getting an extra week before kickoff to game one. But I think that's gonna play itself out as we get going into camp and continue to evaluate where these guys are.
Next one will be Dan from
Hey, Mike, just how have these guys handled the switch from, like, life right now, everything is social distancing, keeping apart from each other, and then football is the exact opposite. How have you seen that kind of affect them on the football field?
I think everybody, has a great understanding and respect for what we're going through. This virus it's real. It's affected, family members. It's affected, our entire country. And so, as our players get a chance to see that, live out each and every day, we have a healthy respect of it and what we need to do to follow the protocols. We can develop relationships without going beyond the social distancing, protocols that we have. And so, like I tell our guys all the time, sometimes the greatest challenges that we face in life sometimes bring along some of the greatest blessings. I think we've learned how to communicate and how to operate with each other in new and innovative ways that, that have some real benefit. And so, I think our guys are looking at this as a learning experience, while also, getting a real, healthy respect for what the challenges are and what we're facing as a country in general.
Next will be Chris from 247.
Hey, just wondering from a health standpoint of Hurricane 3, how is the team doing going into Friday? Is there anybody that get them to strike tests or when you get practice?
I'm sorry, Chris, you kind of broke up a little bit there.
Sorry about that. I was just asking from a health standpoint, is there anybody you're not expecting to have the services of on the field tomorrow?
We're gonna have guys that are in different points of their rehab. One of the blessings of the time that we had to push back and not going through spring practice, that with some of these walkthroughs and our mandatory workouts, the involvement of guys that were going to miss spring, which we had a big number of guys that were missing spring. We've allowed them to kind of continue to rehab and heal up. So I'm looking forward to the group that we're going to have ready. Some guys will be limited, in certain aspects, but for the most part, I feel very good about where we are as a football team, with our health and just what those guys have done with their rehabilitation. And I'll tell you, our athletic training staff has done a remarkable job. And you talk about some real challenges that they faced throughout the spring in helping set up when guys were back at home, trying to find facilities that offered healthy options for these guys to continue their rehab, and the guys that were here, I just thought they did an extraordinary job throughout that process. So I'm looking forward to where we are, and we'll continue to evaluate a handful of guys just as we get going with practice.
Next one's going to be Matt Fortuna from the Athletic.
Coach, just being a different offseason, but the first one nonetheless at Florida State, what were some of the ways you were able to allocate that extra time just away from the speaking circuit, from coaches' caravans, all the kind of hoopla that accompanies a new head coach? How were you able to spend that extra time in a way that new coaches traditionally are able to, especially if you weren't able to spend it around your players?
Well, we weren't able to be around our players physically, but we tried to make sure that we had a structured approach to keeping them engaged, connected. Trying to pass along as much information as possible. Whether it was all departments, it was strength staff, athletic training. Obviously the academic staff did an extraordinary job, but our football coaches trying to make sure that we were consistent in how we were checking in with our guys. Obviously trying to provide them with every resource that we could to continue to develop them with, even what we were lacking physically, to be able to continue to develop their mindset, their approach. We did once we were allowed, we were doing, team meetings, every Sunday night. We had an optional devotional, there beforehand, which was great to see guys coming together for things like that. We tried to, when we had our 8 hours that we were allowed, we set aside time for professional development, and those are some of the things that I'm big on the all-inclusive approach to being a collegiate student athlete, and helping them develop life skills, and helping them build relationships, and trying to continue to invest in their knowledge of what it is to be a successful young man, and obviously to put themselves in the best position to have a successful future in whatever aspect of life or wherever this life takes them. And so we tried to pour into that aspect of it, as well as the coaching staff, and really, I think all departments played a significant role in that. So it has been. I would say that the time that was away, that I wasn't able to go on the road, I mean, we still. We still tried to make an impact, with a weekly message and show for all of our great supporters and fans. I hate that we weren't able to see them, but we also took a lot of that time that we had to continue to pour into our players and making sure that they were good, and that we had every option, for the different situations that could arise. We wanted to have a great plan for that, and I think that's helped us along through this process.
All right, we've got time for just a few more questions, and then we'll get Coach out of here. Next one will be.
Hey, Coach, could you give us a little bit more, I guess, of an idea of what was going on with enhanced walkthroughs and what you were able to accomplish? I know it's not the same as the spring, but what you were able to accomplish?
We were able to really lay out. We got an hour on the field. We went 6 days a week. And we got an hour on the field of being able to really introduce concepts and schemes, and just having a great focus on our communication, on our alignments, being able to put ourselves in a position to execute what's going to be asked of them here starting tomorrow. And I think that was a big benefit, because guys learn in all different ways, and we're operating right now on a virtual teleconference, and there's some guys that function well, and there's some guys that maybe don't function as well in this situation. Well, it's the same for our players, and being able there's a lot of our guys that need the physical repetition of what it is to execute a concept or a technique or a fundamental. I mean, there's some limitations in what we can do, but we tried to at least make sure that they understood the process of communication, of where they needed to align, of what their responsibility is, and really a much slow and controlled pace for being able to apply that to their learning. So I feel very confident in what we were able to accomplish, and looking forward to that being on display here these next few days as we get started off. But even with that's why the first 3 practices, there's going to be a lot of the physical training. We're going to have to work a ton on the timing with the timing of our execution with our quarterbacks, our quarterbacks, receivers, making sure that our exchanges are on point offensively, defensively. Obviously, the understanding the different movements of what we're going to ask them to do, and be able to apply that at full speed repetitions with proper technique and fundamentals, and those are the challenges that of what we're not able to do at a very high level in those walkthroughs, and that's what makes these first couple practices so critical.
Next will be Matt from Orlando.
Yeah, Mike, you said you mentioned that obviously is a unprecedented time. Does any of what's going on in the last 4 months with the team and everything, has that changed your expectations going into the season?
No, my expectations will always be the same. My expectations are that we are a football team that constantly improves every single day, and for us to have the season that I expect, and we're going to maximize the potential of our guys. That is my number one focus. There's a lot of things in this world that we can control, but then there's also a lot of things that we can't control. And if we can have a focus and a mindset of every player and every coach being the best version of themselves and going out there and performing to the best of our ability, I've got a great deal of confidence in what we can accomplish. And that's going to be my continuous focus and where my expectations will lie. I can tell you that I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to play a football game on September 12th. And, we know that, getting a chance to play Georgia Tech, it's going to be a great opponent. It's going to be, going into their second year with a new coaching staff, their understanding, their mindset and approach to what they're doing is going to be that much further along. I can tell that Coach Collins is a really, really good football coach. I've not ever got the opportunity to compete against him, but I've watched his teams play when he was at Temple within the same league, and it's a team that's looking to continue to grow, and they've had a lot of change in their program, and that's going to our focus is going to be solely on our preparation, our development, what we're trying to do. And then as we get a little bit closer to September 12th, then our focus is going to go all to Georgia Tech and doing everything in our power to go out and be the best version of this Florida State football team that we can possibly have, and just trying to put ourselves in a position to go 1-0 in that first week.
This will be the last one, Wayne.
From an outside perspective, it really, looks like the offseason coaching program paid off for your guys. From your perspective, how well has that gone, and how key is that going to be being prepared?
I thought it was remarkable. I mean, you look at the winter conditioning program. The growth that we had from January till March as we started off spring practice, I don't know if it could have gone much better, especially in year one. The growth that we saw, the gains, physically, the gains mentally from our tour of duty, and some of the expectations were put on our guys. I think that. Even academically, the growth that we saw within our football team, that all was helping us on our journey. Obviously we hit a speed bump in some aspects of the time that we were able to be around those guys, but even coming back this summer, you're seeing guys, their bodies continuing to change, and I can tell you we've had some freshmen that have come in that what they've been able to do to their body in a very short period of time is really, really impressive. Our guys, being able to be a part of the workouts. Here within our summer access, just seeing our guys run and move. I'm excited about the talent that we have, but also the buy-in that these guys have poured into that. To developing that talent there physically, and it's going to be a continued process for us. We're going to have to do a great job of continuing to train through fall camp. It's something that we've always hung our hat on, and how we train and develop throughout the season. And we just got done talking about it here this morning of that mindset and approach, and it continues to focus on continuing to improve and develop physically, mentally, and in all aspects. So I'm excited about where we are, but I think we've got a great days ahead for where we're going to get to.